CBS News Homeland Security correspondent Jeff Pegues joins us now from Washington. And Jeff, I understand we now know the name of the attacker.
We do. We've confirmed from multiple law enforcement sources that he's 18-year-old Abdul Ali Artan. We're still trying to gather more information about him, but that's what we have right now. And investigators are looking into his background as well. They want to know who he was in contact with leading up to this incident, whether he was communicating with anyone about the incident. So they're going to be looking at for information from cell phones, from computers. And so it is still early on in this investigation, but we are getting a better idea of who the suspect was. Now we have the name, as you mentioned.
And earlier, you and I were talking that it has not been confirmed that this is a specific lone wolf style terrorist attack, but it is looking that it could be in that direction. And that's something we need to be vigilant about moving forward, especially over the holiday season.
Well, you're right, and that's the word from law enforcement as well. We've reported it over the last several weeks that federal law enforcement officials have been sending out alerts to local police departments across the country, of which there are 18,000 of them, or in that range. And so federal law enforcement officials have been concerned about attacks similar to this one. Attacks carried out by lone wolf type actors, people who may be inspired by ISIS ideology or propaganda. And so there has been a concern among law enforcement for some time now that around this period, as we get into these significant holidays, these dates, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, and then leading up to the inauguration of the new president, law enforcement has been concerned that this could be a period of increased lone wolf activity.
Jeff, something else that strikes me here is the use of a vehicle, and we were talking a little bit earlier today. It seems that with a lot of the ISIS propaganda that's come out over the last several months, we saw the Nice attack last year. We saw the Thanksgiving Day parade here in New York, where they made sure that no one could cross the parade route. It was the first time in the parade's history. We really have to be on the lookout for these types of attacks. And what's scary to me about that is you can't really prevent these types of attacks with a vehicle.
Well, you're right, and that's something that law enforcement has been saying for some time now, that, trying to prevent these incidents that may be inspired by terrorist organizations from ISIS to Al-Qaeda and others, it is very difficult for them to do. They have to figure out where to prioritize some of the people that they are investigating. There are about 1,000 cases that the FBI is looking into nationwide. And so, as you noted, preventing something like this from happening is really, really difficult to do. And that's why some of this law enforcement training for these active shooter type events is so important. And that's why we see law enforcement across the country periodically retraining over and over and over again to make sure that they are up to date in their training to respond to these types of incidents. And not only that, you have college campuses that are getting better at informing faculty and students or anybody living around these campuses. And so there are several different aspects of what happened here that really speaks to the level of training that is now going into preparing and trying to prevent incidents like what we saw unfold today on the Ohio State campus.
Yeah, the men and women of emergency services there did a great job. Jeff Pegues, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.